Okay, well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Rossford Candidates Night. I am Chet Welch of the Rossford Journal, and we are proud to sponsor your educational community event tonight. Thank you all for coming to meet our local candidates so that you may be more informed in order to cast your vote on November 5th. And could we all stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance? And I'll give you an extra second to stand because I know these chairs are pretty low. So it looks like everybody stands up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank the Rossford schools for allowing us to have our Candidates Night here in this wonderful new facility. I'd like to thank the Rossford Police Department, our officer back there. And I want to kind of go over some rules here, what we have kind of planned and laid out for the night. We will begin the night with 2 unopposed races for mayor and city council. 4 candidates have been invited to address the audience tonight. You are also welcome to speak with them more during the intermission and at the end of the evening. Then we will proceed on to the candidates for school board, all seated right here. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to give an introduction of him or herself and a 1-minute closing remark at the end of the program. Some of the questions for the candidates already have been submitted by our readers, and we thank those who made the contributions. We also like to invite the audience to ask questions by filling out the index cards on the tables. During the intermission, we'll go through and collect those and ask a few of those questions as well. I will be asking the questions, and the candidates will remain seated at the table while answering. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. The order for responding will rotate among candidates. Our 2 timekeepers are seated in the front row here, and they will have a signal for you when your time's up. I think we have a 30-second warning, and then we have an end of your time. And we ask that all candidates refrain from personal attacks. So let's begin tonight with our 5-minute introductions of candidates for mayor and city council. And I'd like to first ask Mr. Mayor Neil McKinnon to come up and give us a nice introduction.
Chet only gave me 90 minutes. I'll try not to go over. I'm just kidding. I like you guys too much to do that to you or anybody else. Anyways, my name is Neil McKinnon, and I'm the mayor of the great city of Rossford. So good evening, and thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve you and to work for you. I can't tell you how much fun my team and I have had the past 8 years, and we're looking for another 4 more. The vision and the mission have always been the same, and that's to strive for complete excellence. From the beginning, there were 3 things that I wanted to take care of. 1, I wanted to grow ourselves into economic prosperity, raising our tax base without raising taxes. Number 2, beautification. I wanted to make our city more attractive. I wanted to retain and attract talent and industry. And number 3, and it's the biggest economic development driver, and it's the heartbeat of any city, large or small, and that's the school district. I wanted the school district and the great city of Rossford to join and become one, because you cannot have a great city without a great school district, and you cannot have a great school district without a great city. And I think we've accomplished that. Look around. Is this amazing? Unbelievable. You guys did that, not me. So going forward, the mission and the vision is the same. We're going to work harder than everybody else, and that way we're going to be better than everybody else. And that's not arrogance or ego. That's just a fact. Rossford, Ohio, right now, not only in our region, but also in the state of Ohio, is one of the hottest communities going on right now. 8 years ago, the phone didn't ring, and the phone calls we made didn't get returned. Now the phone is ringing and we're answering it. The Amazon facility will be up and running this coming August. That's going to be close to 2,000 jobs, a minimum of about 1,500, and about a $500 million investment in our city. I want to welcome Medical Mutual. They are going to be in Rossford January 1st and up and running. That's another huge score for our community and another great company. I want to thank the NAI Harmon Group because they were the ones that first planted their flag in Rossford, Ohio. They are in 18 different states, and they looked around and they decided to take a chance and be the first to make that kind of investment. So I would ask you to please keep supporting not only your school board and your school district, but also myself and the Rossford City Council, because we can't do it without you. We are on our way, and that's a fact. And it's a great time to be in Rossford, and it's a great time to invest in Rossford, and it's a great time to move into Rossford. I want to personally thank my team, which is Rex Hoffman, Kent Murphy, Kevin Heaven, all of my department heads, Tyler Kobe, Toby Ledesma, Chief Druid, Chief Kitzler, Karen Freeman, and Ed Seeker. I promise you this is just the beginning. You have not seen anything yet. I just left a meeting about a half hour ago with the guys that are going to come in and do the entertainment district. Again, this is just the beginning. You should all be proud and you should be excited. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Next, we'll hear from Council President Larry Oberdorf.
Thank you. When I looked at Neil as he was up here, I remembered where he sat in my class back at Rossford High School about 1,000,000 years ago. If you don't know me, which I really doubt, my name is Larry Oberdorf, and I taught at the high school for about 30 years and coached at the high school. And after retiring, a good friend of mine by the name of Jim Richards talked to me about running for city council. Jim was kind of a mentor for me, and I learned an awful lot about what I consider a good councilman to be. One of the things that he told me is to always try to look at both sides of any issue, which I do. When I make a decision, it isn't fast. I try to look at both sides of the issue, I pray on it, and I hope I make the best decision that I can. Sometimes I make decisions that are going to be unpopular with some of you. But my main goal is to do the best for the entire city of Rossford. I have no agenda to serve. I am not representing any specific group of people or neighborhood. My only concern is for the entire group and the citizens of Rossford, Ohio, or as my mayor says, the great citizens of the great city of Rossford, Ohio. It's a pleasure to serve under Neil McKinnon. I've been on council now just a little short of 16 years. And during those years, early years, we had an awful lot of financial generated problems. And I remember that when Mayor McKinnon was deciding to run, he actually ran for council first, and I helped him with some of the preliminary things. But he told me one time that we're going to grow into the solution. And for a while I thought, well, that sounds pretty easy to do. But he's proved that it can be done. Like he said, he has a fantastic team, including Rex Hoffman and many other people. we're looking at tremendous economic growth in the city of Rossford. And this growth, to me, will generate the solving of many of the problems that we've had. And I had wondered about running for one more term in council, to be honest with you. And I thought back about all the problems that I've gone through, and now I've seen a little light. Good things are happening for us, and a lot of that has to do with my good friend Neil McKinnon. I sometimes feel like I'm somewhere between a big brother and a father with him. I'm not sure. Sometimes I feel otherwise. But generally speaking, he is the reason for the growth of Rossford. And I am so proud to serve under him and to do the very best that I can for each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Councilman Greg Marquette.
I'm sorry, a little gimpy. I just got a new knee about 6 weeks ago, so bear with me if you would, please. My name is Greg Marquette. I'm running for City Council. I've had the pleasure of serving the City of Rossford for the past 22 years, and also serving the majority of those years with Larry and Robert, who are, I guess, running against, but not really. I don't know. But Larry's always been the consummate professional and leader. He's been president of council for, I don't know, 4 or 5 terms. It's well-deserved, and he represents Rossford in the best of light. Robert's kind of like the E.F. Hutton in my eyes at council. When he speaks, I listen. This guy has so much knowledge and ability, it's incredible. When you talk about our mayor, Neil McKinnon, things that come to mind are his dedication and his love for the city of Rossford. You can't find a festivity going around town that he's not at, whether it be a high school, Boy Scouts, cross-country coming to council meetings. His love is truly pure, and it's very admirable. He mentioned his team, which is not only an asset to him, but an asset to us. When I need answers, I have no problem picking up the phone and calling Rex, or Kevin, or Kent, or Ed, or Karen, or Tyler, Toby, Chief, Drew, or Kitzler. They're all amazing people, professionals of the utmost degrees, and we're very lucky to have them. I want to mention a little bit more about Ed Sika. This guy, some of the first votes I cast on council had to do with the Arena Amphitheater Authority. And I can remember my excitement when that was announced and all the plans leading up to it and what that future looked like. Fast forward a few years, Ed Sika came on board and pretty much saved, in my eyes, a lot of the city from lawsuits and the liabilities that were out there, gave us good guidance, and got us turning in the right direction. There's an uphill battle, but it's been worthwhile. Another item I wanted to mention, I got a few other talking points here. There's really no rhyme or reason as to what order they're in. But one of the big topics throughout the last couple of years has been the Northwest Water and Sewer District and the rates of water. I currently average about $200 a month. I have a daughter and son and a grandson living with us now, so that adds to it, but it hurts. But recently, as you've all seen in the paper, we signed an agreement with the city of Toledo, and people would like to bash us for approving that agreement with the Northwest Water and Sewer. But I tell you right now, they've invested over $15 million into this community, something that our city, back when we first started and even today, could not afford to do. Yeah, so they've really helped citizens that had water backflowing into their basements, flooding in their basements. It's been, in my eyes, a good investment. Roundabouts. I was dead against roundabouts when they first were introduced. And I'm here to tell you that I think I was wrong. I live in Grassy Creek, and I utilized the one there, Buck and Lime City quite often. And it's not only cleaned up that corner, but I'm really impressed with how quickly the traffic flows through there, especially in the morning. Roads. Roads, I can tell you right now, besides public health and safety, are the number one priority for City Council as it currently sits. We do realize the conditions of the roads. We understand the wear and tear on cars, but again, it all comes down to money. And there is a list, as I understand it, that has been basically started back with Dave Jones that has prioritized roads and put them in an order as to what's to be addressed. So please bear with us. If you're relating on a road that's not that improved, we hope to get to it. One promise I will make in the next 4 years is that I will always stand up for improved roads. I firmly believe that curbs and sidewalks are a necessity for a city that is trying to improve itself and its property value, and I'll always support that. As I mentioned, public safety and health is our number one priority, and we have made investments there, not only just recently in our last council meeting with purchasing a new fire truck. We've also got our police cars now on a rotation where we're getting new cars every year. Public Works is getting new equipment, so things are prospering. I want to also make a special thanks to Mark Zukowski and Vince Langwin. And without their vision 25, 30 years ago to get involved with the Crossroads, I hate to think where our city would be right now. Some of the new things, and exciting things that are coming up, some that Neil touched on, Project Red, we're a few years away from that being a reality, but there's possibilities there of a potential conference center and other amenities. We're also in contract with an engineering firm out of Dallas, Texas called O'Brien Engineering that is looking at our zoning and the potential of reuse of lands as they currently are now. In the schools and what you people voted for, it's amazing. I know it's a long-fought battle. I'll sit right here and now and say I was one of the proponents that always wanted the high school downtown. I'm old school. I know there's a lot of them that wanted it out here on one campus. Either way, I think it would work out best, but I just love the look of what's going on downtown. One thing I believe in is hiring the best, and I firmly believe that not only Neil, but some of the people Billy hired that Neil inherited are professionals to the utmost. And when I need an opinion on fire or police, I can go to those guys, and with the information they give me, I believe in wholeheartedly. And I think we're very, very fortunate to have those folks. I want to thank the Rossford Record for sponsoring this. I want to thank the school board for supplying this beautiful facility. And everybody get out and vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Now we'll hear from Councilman Robert Roos.
I was a little worried if I tried to get in those chairs that I'd be bringing the table up with me, so I sat off to the side. I appreciate everybody coming out, appreciate the support over the last 8 years that have been on City Council. And so much has been said from what Larry and Greg and the mayor. I don't want to take your time and repeat that. We have a lot going on. We have a great team that has gotten us this far. I spoke with the mayor about a month ago, maybe, or I guess a couple of months back, and said, do I really want to keep doing this? And we collectively kind of said, we're on a mission, and we're not done yet. So let's keep it going. My background, I'm an engineer. I spent about 75% of my career in the consulting world, environmental and transportation-related projects. And about a quarter of that time I spent in municipal government, in city management. I've been in Rossford for about 15 years, and when we purchased the home, came back up to this area from Findlay, I couldn't give up that city government side of the house. That I guess I was just too connected to it for the 8 years that I spent down there. And so I got involved at the time with city planning for about 5 years before coming on city council, and have just seen so much happen over that time. In those early years of city planning, when we were looking at just Bass Pro out here, and the growth of all the hotels, and now you see, and then Camping World and Harmon, and now Amazon going up. So it's coming, it's going to continue to come, but we have to be aggressive at it and be a team, and it takes everybody's involvement just to put our best foot forward, like the mayor said. And we've got a lot to do. We've got to keep it going. We've seen the resurgence a little bit of downtown. We've got streetlights, and IPS really is the cornerstone of one end of downtown, and the high school taking shape in the other end. So we still have work to go there, to do there. As Greg mentioned on the roads, we've got a lot of things that have been accomplished. You know, the roundabout, somebody went through the roundabout the other day, and I said, well, don't worry, if you miss your turn, just go around and around. You'll eventually get there. And if you really get worried, when the new one comes in at the other end, you can just really keep going. But eventually, all roads will lead into Rossford. I guess that's the best way to do it. And if we have our way over the next few years, we're going to pave all those roads in Rossford. And we're getting there. I think as part of my involvement, I've been on public works and finance committees throughout my 8 years on council. And what we're trying to do is come up with sustainable ways that our roads, we have the money to get those roads and that infrastructure taken care of. And we have money going into the roads on an annual basis to do resurfacing projects and to do maintenance on the roads. And then turn that over on the safety side. We've got the police underway now, where they do have kind of their vehicles, and public works, they're seeing their equipment be upgraded on a regular basis. And we did make some strides this week, a couple of weeks ago, with the fire, but we've got a long way to go there. I know one thing, if I don't know an answer, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to dive in. I'm generally not the most popular guy on council, because I ask 1,000 questions and then add a few more along the way. But like Larry said, he wants to know both sides of every issue. I want to know both sides, but I want to be able to defend what I feel is doing the right thing for the great city of Rossford. So I appreciate your support the last 8 years, and moving forward for the next 4. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Robert. Now we'll move on to our 3-minute introductions of the candidates for the Rossford Board of Education. And I'll introduce the names, or I'll say the names and I'll introduce our first speaker. We have Sharon Belkafor, Tiffany Denzik, Kent Murphy, Brenna Reynolds, and Joel Haas. So Sharon, we'll start with you, young lady. So. Sharon, you want us to stay? You can stay seated, yeah. No, I don't. Oh, you want to come up here? Okay, that's all right. Don't trip on the cross. Okay, all right.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. I'm Sharon Belkafor. And I have to say, first of all, I am a bit conflicted tonight. While I'm very glad to be here, the Lady Bulldog soccer team is playing in the district finals over at Lake. And I sure would like to be there, too. 3 years, 9 months, and 16 days ago, I took an oath of office to the children of this district. While we have all of you in our minds when we're elected, those we really represent are the children of this district, those most vulnerable, those in most need of our commitment and our dedication. I am passionate about that, very passionate about that. Every day since that day, I have been aware of that oath and have been reminded of it with every decision I've made as a board member. Kent Murphy and I have worked very hard the last 3 years, 9 months and 16 days, but we worked hard, very hard before then, too, fighting for schools and a stable, successful district. Before Superintendent Krebs, we had 7 superintendents in 10 years. Now, how can you have stability and move forward with that? But we determined that if we could get on the board, we would work to unify it and concentrate on the future of our schools and children. You gave us the chance to do that. And look where we are. Beautiful new schools, a cutting-edge reading program, a science, technology, engineering, mathematics program called STEM, now at all levels of our schools. I've seen that reading program in action in our kindergarten. I've seen the STEM program in action with our children's science projects and with the design and programming of robots. I've seen achievement at all levels, not only in academics, but in extracurricular activities as well. We are Bulldogs. It's what we do. I've seen a program designed to promote respect, responsibility, and being ready. And all of this has inspired us to do the same, with emphasis on the respect, the responsibility, and being ready. And look what you have done. You said yes. You built our children new schools. You continuously support our students every day in everything they do. That inspires and motivates us. Yes, Kent and I fought for all of this too, especially to show you how strongly we feel about the integrity and responsibility of our positions, for the importance of a future-thinking board, of a board who puts ourselves in the background, keeps ourselves out of the spotlight, who acts like a foundation for the district and puts our children first, foremost, at the top, out in front, before all of us. It's a heavy responsibility, overwhelming at times, but all of you and all of your children keep us right on track. It's an honor and a privilege. We will never stop working hard for your children and to put this district out on the forefront of excellent education. There's lots more to do, so many exciting things to do, and all for our children. Let's work together to do that. Please give us your vote on November 5th.
Thank you, Sharon. Now I'll introduce Tiffany Denzik. Come up and speak.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Denzik, and I'd like to take the time to thank each and every one of you for taking your valuable time, which you could be spending with your families tonight, to come out here and not only ask questions, but listen to the answers that we give you. For that, I thank you very much. For those of you who do not know me, I moved into this district in 2001. Around 2004, I started attending school board meetings with my husband, Bob Denzik. I was a little frustrated that we were not spending money on our facilities. Not too long after that, Jackie Brown asked me if I would join the Finance Committee, and I jumped in with both feet. I took the time to really learn what was going on with the finances, where the money was going, and what was happening to it. I fast-forwarded in 2015 and ran for school board. With your votes, I've had the privilege to serve after I was sworn in 2016. I thank you all very much for that. Since 2016, I've worked very hard at trying to keep the trust that was granted to me by those that voted for me, and then I've tried to earn the trust of those who did not vote for me and did not support me. I hope I have done that. Thank you so very much. I would like to ask for your vote tonight, next Tuesday, November the 5th. And here are 4 reasons why. The first one is transparency. The more open the more open this district can be, the better it is for everyone involved. Information. I think it's very important. We've done such a good job with hiring a public information officer, but we have to remember that open and honest communication with the students, staff, citizens, and voters is so very important. Finances. We should have common sense approach to finances. Every dollar of spending should be effective and efficient. Effective for the school district and the students, and efficient for the taxpayers. And lastly, the future. The future of Rossford Exempted Village School District is very, very bright. We have a lovely new elementary that you are getting to see tonight. We have a wonderful Jackson Ferguson Stadium that has been renovated. If you've not been there to see a game, it's pretty incredible. The field looks amazing. The sound system sounds great. Come Christmas break, we will have a new high school and a new junior high facility opening up. That would not have been possible without all of you here today. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. I do ask for your vote next Tuesday, November 5th. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany. Next, we'll ask Kent Murphy to come up and speak.
3 minutes is a very short period of time for a lawyer. I don't think I can order Wendy's in 3 minutes. Anyway, I'd like to thank Welsh Publishing, the Rossford administration and staff, as well as Mike Jameson, the Toledo Sports Network, for putting this together and broadcasting it tonight. We really appreciate it, and the added touch of broadcasting, I think, adds an element that we've not had in the past, which is a great thing for the people who can't be here with us tonight. Just a little bit of background about me. I am an attorney. I went to undergraduate at the University of Toledo. Went to law school at the University of Toledo College of Law. I have a law practice in Rossford. Can you not hear me? My law practice is in Rossford. I'm a founding member of the law firm of Heben, Murphy, and Lewandowski, which we started in 2010 with my friends Gary Summer and Kevin Heben. I am a father of 3 sons, Jackson, Reed, and Garrett. Those are my greatest accomplishments. 2/3 of them are sitting right over there. And Reed's a senior at Rossford, and Garrett's a freshman. Can you guys stand up? I did that to torment Garrett because the tall one is the freshman, not the senior, so it drives him insane. I'm very proud of those guys and proud of the fact that they go to Rossford schools. My oldest son, Jackson, is a junior in the engineering program at the University of Toledo, and he's doing his internship in Warsaw, Indiana, or he would be with us tonight. I hope he's watching online. If you are, hi, Jackson. I'm not sure which camera's on. I'm also very proud to be a founding member of the Bulldog Foundation. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a 501c3 organization that was created by Rex Huffman, Doug Miller, and myself. The focus of that is to enhance the educational and extracurricular activities for Rossford students and expand opportunities for them. Hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to you a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. Our district has been through tremendous change and seen tremendous transformation. I want to talk a little bit about those. We have these beautiful new facilities that many people have referenced tonight. As many have said, that would not have happened without you. A majority of this board supported that, the current board that's in place, and we worked really hard with the Better Schools for Better Communities folks, Emily Klocko and her team, to try to make that happen, and we did. You did. And we thank you very much for that. We've expanded the STEM program, which Sharon touched on a little bit. We brought in a communications director, Matt Thompson, who's doing a phenomenal job for us. We implemented a new reading program that was selected by a group of teachers. who researched it and made the selection and have now implemented it. We're expanding our preschool program because we're trying to get students in the classroom sooner. We've stabilized our superintendent position. 7 superintendents in 10 years. You cannot have a stable district with that kind of leadership. And we've been able to do that with Dan Krebs, and I'm the first guy to stand here and tell you that I support his efforts in leading our district into the 21st century learning environment. We've implemented Ohio Checkbook, which is a transparency tool. We've also stabilized our financial situation to the point where we no longer are going to have to come back to the residents for new money. There's still a lot to do. I'm hoping to touch on some of those things as we go through the evening. We need to look at curriculum, expand our opportunities, ensure that we maintain these beautiful buildings that you've entrusted with us, and we need to continue to review all of our processes to address the bullying circumstances that we all have seen throughout the country, and we're certainly not immune to it here. We've implemented some things. We've got more work to do. I'm asking for your vote on November 5th to help me continue to build on that momentum that we've gained over time with the leadership of Mr. Krebs and Mayor McKinnon and City Council. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Ken. Now we ask Brenna Reynolds to come up, please.
I'm a nanny, so I spend most of my time in tennis shoes, so if I fall, you all are welcome to come save me. I'm Brenna Reynolds. I've worked with kids for about 15 years now. I've volunteered for schools, families, different organizations, and currently I'm a nanny to 2 girls in Sylvania. And although I've worn many hats over my career, one constant has been my desire to make a difference in my community. Growing up in Ann Arbor, I volunteered with the YMCA's Youth Volunteer Corps every summer, doing work wherever it was needed. We swept, we washed dishes, we cooked, we did it all. I was introduced to so many different kinds of people and so many different ways of life, and a whole new world opened up for me. I grew up understanding inequity, the importance of diversity, and what privilege looks like in its many forms. Through the YMCA, I began volunteering for Safe House Women's Shelter in their residential childcare for kids who were fleeing domestic violence situations with their mothers. I eventually ended up serving on the youth advisory boards for both the YMCA and Safe House. My fellow board members and I worked together to educate kids in the community on healthy relationships, dating violence, mental health. These experiences gave me the opportunity to work directly with the kids who needed support, but also to then go out and educate others on how to affect change in their communities. While attending Michigan, sorry Buckeyes, I hope you'll still vote for me, I was able to explore all of the interests and values I developed as a young person. My degree in psychology has allowed me to better understand how to help and support others and how to address the psychological needs of children, especially in a school setting. I'm passionate about creating an environment for our kids that gives them the chance to thrive, not just academically, but as whole human beings. I'm passionate about listening because I know there's always an opportunity to grow. I'm passionate about being of use wherever it is needed, and I hope that I can be useful to Rossford. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenna. Now we'll ask Joel Haas to come up, please.
Well, I'm going to be this short and sweet guy. I don't read it from paper. I want to thank all you people for coming out here. I know it takes a lot to find free time anymore. My name is Joel Haas. I graduated from Rossford in 1978. I came to Rossford in 1959 when I was born with a family business. I've lived here 58 of the 60 years of my life. I can't believe I'm 60 years old already. Worked with the family business. When I was an older adult, 40, I became a critical care nurse. I loved taking care of people, and I also did a lot of teaching with other younger nurses, so I am also a small businessman in this town. I was with Greg Marquette. I wasn't so hot about the roundabout, but I kind of like it, and I'll go through there quick. Even in schools, this has been quite overwhelming to the businesses, the small businesses in this town. We don't want to overlook the small businesses in this town. It's great. We got Amazon. This is exciting. There's a lot of things that are catching me off guard that there could be some real great things here. But one thing we do want, I spoke with many people that, and like right now, again, I got some bad hips that need to be replaced. I haven't been able to do critical nursing for a few years. I'm living off my small income as a businessman, and this last tax levy was very heavy on a lot of small businesses. And we don't want to forget the small businesses here. And I want to create more conversation with the school board, school district, city council, and the property owners. We need to be able to afford to stay here. I don't want to see a situation that we can no longer afford to stay here. We got to sell, move out. It could be a very wicked situation, but I want to think of the positive things here. Hopefully Amazon can be a huge shot in the arm to the small businesses here. And sadly, I've never seen the small businesses get any credit. You know, it's the big businesses that always get the abatements. Let's not forget those. My biggest thing is I want to see security, good education. I love teaching. That's probably my most rewarding thing as a nurse and everything that I do here. So probably everybody's seen my signs, no more tax levies. We got some beautiful buildings. These are built to be very efficient. Hopefully there's a good savings with these. Hopefully with all the exciting things going on in town, this is going to be a huge shot. But we got to survive with teamwork. We cannot close out one major aspect. The property owners are one carrying this thing. We do not want to disrespect them, make them feel that I'm getting a lot of people say, we can't afford to live here. We got to move out. That's not a good feeling. So let's make a teamwork of everything. We got some beautiful schools here. Maybe these are going to help promote new population. Who knows? Hopefully it does. But let's work as a team. Everybody deserves a voice. I don't want to see someone say, well, it don't matter. You know, everybody should be, okay. Thank you. So anyways, I appreciate your voice. I love this area. This is my home. I want to be able to stay here. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Joel. I did skip over Mike Jameson back here. What a wonderful job he's doing. When you guys get home tonight, check out www.toledosportsnetwork.com because this whole thing is being broadcasted. So you could. It's live now. Tomorrow morning, yeah. He needs to get some sleep tonight. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So thanks, Mike. Let's give him a round of applause. Yep. Now we go on to the fun part of the night, and this is the questions. I'll ask the question, and each candidate will have a 2-minute response. And as I go on to the next candidate, if you would like me to repeat the question, just say so, and I'll repeat the question. So I'll start in order right here. I have Tiffany right here. So first question is, now that the facilities are being addressed, what is the most pressing issue the board should be looking at for the betterment of the students?
For the betterment of the students, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
I think so.
For the betterment of the students, I have somebody in the back saying no. You cannot hear me? Okay, let me talk more into the microphone. Thank you so much. What can we do now for the betterment of the students? Well, I think it's a three-pronged approach. Currently, right now, we need to help the students score better on their achievement tests. The high school scored a D, Eagle Point Elementary scored a D, the junior high scored a C, and Glenwood Elementary scored a B. That kept the entire school district in a C. I do think we really need to work with these kids to help them do better on these achievement tests. I know the superintendent has mentioned it to us, that he is going to work on that. I think that is very important. Doesn't matter what we think about the tests. That's what's here. We need to actually make sure that they can succeed. Second part of that equation is the PBIS initiative. We have bullying just like all the other schools have bullying. And we really need to make sure that our students understand what PBIS is, how this can help, and how to fix the bullying problem that we have. The third side of that approach, as far as the betterment of the students, I really think we have to take a look at the finances. We currently, right now, have over $18,500 in revenue per child. That's a lot of tax dollars coming into this district. It's also a big strain on their families. I really think we need to take a serious look at that. Thank you, Chet.
Thanks, Tiffany. Okay. Brenda, would you like me to reread the question?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. Normally, I don't need a mic at all. I would say the thing that I'm most concerned about as somebody who's worked directly with a lot of at-risk kids with a psychology degree, my primary focus is not only continuing the PBIS programs, but also building on them. It's not just bullying that's an issue. Bullying certainly needs to be addressed, but we can also talk about our entire culture as a whole. There are things that we can teach to our kids like empathy and mindfulness. Empathy helps our kids understand each other, and mindfulness helps our kids understand themselves. Both of these practices have been shown to improve academic achievement, communication skills, classroom engagement, reduces bullying, aggressive behaviors and substance use, emotional disturbances. And I think we have to ask ourselves what kind of future we want to create. We're not raising our kids to be professional test takers. We're raising humans, which is big work. And we want our students to be critical thinkers and have authentic learning experiences. I'd really like to take the focus not just on PBIS, but continue that and to help improve our entire school culture.
Okay. Thank you. Sharon?
I'm thinking along some of the same line that Brenna was just thinking. You know, it's not just reading, writing, and arithmetic anymore in school like it was eon years ago when I was in school. Teachers today need to be able to deal with so many other things in terms of child behavior, child psychology, being able to deal with situations that arise when children act out. And so there are a lot of resources that are becoming more and more important for our school districts. And fortunately, Governor DeWine added $650 million to his budget this year strictly for wraparound services. That's what we call the mental health and some of the other health services that are now necessary for our children in our schools. So I see an opportunity for us to take advantage of those. But along with that, now that we have the foundation of the school put together, there's so much going on in education itself. And I would like us to be out there looking at what are the new methods, what are the new services, what are the new technologies to teach our children to be best prepared for the future, for the jobs that are going to be available 10 years, 15 years from now, jobs that we can't even begin to imagine in our minds. There's so many needs for other than just going to college. So those are some of the things that I would like to see us look at.
Okay. Thanks, Sharon. Joel?
Well, I guess I'll base this on my experience in nursing. When I was working at a local hospital, I worked the float pool, which allowed me to work the whole, from the geriatric population to the young pediatric population. I worked the young, I guess you call it troubled children ward. And one thing that I found, I always had to make sure they knew I'm in charge. And there may be sometimes you run an individual that's not going to be treatable, and you cannot candy coat that. But my biggest thing I found out was make them feel like they belong. Bring them into the conversation. And also create enthusiasm. I'm also a guitarist, and I've had years where I just couldn't stand to pick it up. It was that enthusiasm that drive, they'd want me to pick it up again. If children can have that nurturing of that enthusiasm, there's so many things that can be conquered with that. So whether this is an in-service that the teacher can help transfer that, and also with the teachers, that there needs to be an enthusiasm that brought to them that can be transferred to that. But with enthusiasm and feeling like you belong, a lot of things can be negated, and try to get it as soon as you can, nip it in the bud if you can, but always nurture that enthusiasm so they'll have a thirst for everything they want to do in life, and they know that they can do it, so they won't be afraid to try it. So.
Thanks, Joel. Kent.
I'm really glad this question was asked because I had to cut some things out of my opening, and this allows me to touch on them. One of the things that I just briefly mentioned was curriculum. You'll recall back probably 5 to 7 years ago, we had to go through some very tough cuts here in Rossford schools. When we did that, we were responding, not this board, but prior board was responding to some financial strains that was on the district. I think in doing that, we made the necessary cuts, but at the same time, when you make those kind of cuts, you take away opportunity. You take opportunity away from kids, and that's unfortunate. My mission, my number one goal going into this next 4 years, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, is to do an extensive review of the curriculum and extracurricular opportunities. Extracurricular opportunities being clubs, athletics, band, drama, all of those things. There's no reason, in my opinion, for Rossford to just be good. There's no reason for it to be good enough, in my opinion. We're geographically situated. We've got great things going on in our community. I don't know why we can't be great and be the absolute best. I asked for that review to happen about 6 or 8 months ago, and I do know it's underway. It's being led by Megan Spangler, who is our curriculum director, and we're looking at those. I want to be the best and provide the greatest opportunity. The second thing is, I do agree that the bullying is an issue and a problem. I think we need to take a good hard look at, is PBIS far enough? Do we need to go further? I think we probably do in our district. It deserves a good hard look. I also think we need to look at and expand our opportunities for special needs students. That's something we've done. We've been successful at doing in the last 4 years, but we can do better. And I'm looking forward to that challenge and that opportunity. With every challenge, there's an opportunity, and we have a great opportunity in this district.
Okay. Thank you, Ken. It's interesting you guys mentioned bullying, because that's topic number 2 here. And we're going to start off with Brenna. So in regard to the harassment case from earlier this year, what is the district doing, and what should be done to prevent this from happening again?
Can you say a little bit more about the harassment case?
Can I say a little bit more about it? This was a question that was submitted to us.
Okay.
I might need...
Well, I assume that's a question about Pat Murtha and the situation that was in the news. That's actually initially how I met all of the board members, and I had heard what was happening in the paper, and I approached the board. Just like everyone else in the community, I had questions, and I felt that when the community asked the board their questions at that particular board meeting, everyone owned up to the things that they wish they had done differently. Everyone owned up to the fact that we can prevent this from happening in the future. We didn't all agree on how it was handled, but we did all agree that we didn't want it to happen again. I think that harassment cases, especially in teacher misconduct, are also a state issue, and there need to be state laws passed with better transparency between districts so that districts can communicate about the staff members who are coming into their schools.
Okay, thanks, Brenna. Sharon?
Could you repeat that again, Chad?
Sure. In regard to the harassment case from earlier this year, what is the district doing, and what should be done to prevent this from happening again?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to clarify one thing, and that is when we did have that school board meeting and we all talked about our feelings around it, it was more around the issue of the fact that we had tried to use a wall of silence to protect the children that were involved in hopes that the issue might die down. That was a big, naive impression that we had. In actuality, we probably could have answered questions when we were asked. There wasn't a whole lot we could say because there are rules and regulations and laws about that. But by not saying anything at all, it gave the wrong impression. Now, as far as what the board and what the district has done, first of all, let me say that the Ohio Department of Education and the legislature in Columbus, due to this issue and other issues around the state, is in the process of redoing their regulations and is also in the process of going over legislation to strengthen the requirements for districts in the hiring practice, and also to require districts to share information more readily. That was one of the things that was contributed to what occurred at Rossford. Secondly, looking at all of the federal laws required and all the state laws required regarding harassment in all of its forms, we've gone over our policies and procedures, and we have made sure in detail that our policies and procedures are in line with those requirements from in federal law and in the state law, and in such a way that it doesn't require a lot of things to happen. It can require one or another to occur for something to take place.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. Joel.
Well, I'm not really up on this issue, but I would say if there's any harassment going on, I mean, that needs to be addressed immediately. I know there's so many times that there's cases where, I'm not going to say it's Rossford School District, but I've seen things in other school districts that they don't want it to be known. Now, this stuff has to be dealt with immediately, and you don't. There's got to be a straight cut. If there's something that's gone on, I know when I was in high school, there was a teacher that was involved with some friends of mine, and I actually had a situation, and that was none of the other teachers would come to you, and it was almost like the students had to defend for themselves. I actually had to get in a fisticuffs with this teacher, and that wasn't the right thing either, but at the time it was. But there can't be any silence. There's anything out of line, you address it immediately. There's got to be a set of rules. Yeah, there's federal and state laws already out there. Many times they can be used as guidelines. You don't mess around with it. Deal with it as soon as possible. And again, I'll agree with everybody else. There needs to be a transparency. If there's things going on in our schools that aren't being forwarded to the new school, that's not a good thing. You got to have total communications. If there's anything at all that would suggest there could be something in the past, just make sure we know it before anybody's hired with that too. So.
Okay, thanks, Joel. Kent.
Thank you. First and foremost, I would say that and hope everyone knows that we have revised the harassment policy in our district to further clarify what does constitute harassment. We also, as a district, need to very diligently support any legislation that allows open communication, and one of the candidates had mentioned this, but open communication between districts. Everybody's afraid of getting sued. I blame the lawyers. It's Rex's fault. But we need to be able to have some level of immunity between districts, so when you pass information along, districts can make knowing decisions when they make hiring, when they hire employees. We also need to communicate better. I will say, and this will not be a popular thing to say, the outcome of that entire situation was correct. the way it was handled and communicated could not have been a bigger debacle, in my opinion. We should have opened communication lines with our superintendent. He needed to be our voice. We chose to go another route, and that cost us some credibility, I think, with our voters. And we have looked at that. We've had open discussions about it in board meetings, and I'm a firm believer you have to get out in front of people and help them understand why you did what you did. There was a letter that went out from Superintendent Krebs that the board did not see before it went out, and it passed along some information that was maybe led to people drawing inaccurate conclusions, and it looked like things were being hidden, which is not the case at all. But I would tell you that the first and foremost, we have to communicate better about everything. That's my response to that one.
Okay. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Tiffany.
Thank you so much. The first thing that the Board of Education did was they reviewed the sexual harassment policy. I voted no against the new update of the policy because what we did find out through Megan Spangler's report was not only did touching take place, not only did adults see the touching taking place, but nobody did anything about it. And all throughout that report it said because they were afraid of retaliation. And because of that, and because of the girls did not miss any school, did not have any of their grades affected, we did have an administrator make the opinion that it didn't constitute the actual guidelines of sexual harassment. The new policy, which was updated, still gives that leeway to future administrations. Even though we can sit here and say, no, that will not happen, it still gives the leeway for that to happen. I believe that needs to be tightened at Neola. We are following the Neola guidelines. I think we need to go even stronger than the Neola guidelines. Let them sue us, but we need to be stronger in that. We cannot sit here and say, well, the girls didn't miss school. They didn't have their grades affected. It doesn't matter. They were able to power through it. Thank goodness that they were. The second thing that needs to happen is Senate Bill 34. Senator Kunze has heard these same cries throughout these different school districts all over the state of Ohio. And she is trying to get a bill through the Senate, which means we all need to contact our local representatives and say, hey, we need this fixed. We need to have the communication lines open so that we as a school district can tell the other school districts, this person is a bad dude. It also needs to be able to revoke the licenses for things such as this. Right now, only 20% of the licenses for teaching actually get revoked. That's a problem. We need to work on that. We should not be passing these people along to other districts. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Chet,
Yes.
could I take could I do something out of the ordinary and make a response?
I was going to start with Brenna because I kind of misled you guys with, after Kent's statement about bullying and harassment, I kind of read them together. But now that I see where this topic's going out, I'd like to actually give Brenna another 30 seconds, 45 seconds, because I did catch you kind of off guard with that. So I'll go to you, Sharon, Joel, Kent, and Tiffany one more time if you guys would like to. But I do apologize for the misunderstanding there. So Brenna, would you like to make a quick statement?
Because I had questions about how the situation was handled, I approached the board and I spoke with individual board members and they responded to my questions. I think that the ownership and the humility that I saw in recognizing that mistakes were made was impressive to me. And I also, I think it's important to be able to move on from things that can't be undone and to look forward and see what kinds of policies we can implement to make sure that it never happens again. I don't think it's helpful to continue to talk about something that can't be changed, but I hope that we can all band together and come up with the best solutions to make sure that our students are safe.
Okay. Thanks, Brenna. Sharon, now you can have the floor.
Well, I just have three things. The first thing is there were several options that we could have taken that our legal counsel gave us. One was very easy, would have been an easy decision for us to do. But in doing it, we would have exposed the children that were involved to possible hearings and whatever. And we felt very, very strongly that whatever we did in this situation, whatever decision we made, should be made to make sure that the children would not be involved at all, that they would not have to be exposed to any more attention. Second of all, the new policy and procedure, and I would encourage everyone to go onto the school's website to look at it, it is very broad, and it lists several different ways in which a harassment complaint can be filed. It does not require that all of those ways have to be in place for it to be filed. Any one of those ways is sufficient. And so I think it's very important that you understand that we have made this as broad and as all-encompassing as it should be in order to protect our children.
Thanks, Sharon. Joel?
Well, I would try, if there is a very broad variety of options to do, I'd like to make it more simplified. Anybody who does want to make a complaint, don't make it so complicated they don't know what to do. I know when I was in that situation, I was involving a teacher that they had harassed, accosted a few friends of mine. We didn't even think of talking to anybody about it. I mean, it was something that we dealt. I mean, I actually ended up in a situation where it was a physical confrontation with this individual, and it didn't dawn on me once to come to anybody. Like, I just felt like I was on my own. There was no avenue to address it. And I imagine there's probably a lot of children that still feel the same. I mean, there's got to be some educational process where, how do they handle it? Help them to be able to handle it, so when they do enter in that situation, they know where they need to go to. But also make it as simple as possible. I mean, there's just too many things that are way too complicated. Even when you have a lot of options, just try to find the best options, simplify it down.
Thanks, Joel. Kent?
The only thing that I would add is, as I listened to Ms. Denzig's response to the question, the suggestion, I think the implication is that perhaps she didn't support what the decision that was made by the board, and which ultimately resulted in the outcome. That's not accurate. That the board unanimously approved the resolution of that thing. Just so it was really hurtful to me, and I know the rest of the board, to be reading news articles that suggested that somehow, you know, we did wrong, and it wasn't done for the betterment of our students, and in particular those individuals that were involved in the situation. I litigate cases like that in my career, and I can tell you the toll it takes on people is tremendous, both financially and emotionally, and that was something that we desperately needed to avoid in this circumstance.
Thanks, Ken. Tiffany, would you like to close this out?
Absolutely. That right there is the true definition of a straw man argument. Nothing I've said here tonight even alludes to what Mr. Murphy has just stated. We were all distressed about the situation. No one wanted these girls to have to come in front of someone and testify and talk about what they did. We followed our attorney's instructions to the letter. No one spoke. No one did anything. It wasn't until after the frustration of the wall of silence that people finally started to say, this is wrong. Nowhere did I ever disagree with what we did. I was here sitting out where you are sitting right now when a previous administrator had child pornography on their computer. That person had to be paid through their contract until they finally said, okay, I'm guilty. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany. Okay, we're going to go to question number 3, and Sharon's going to lead us off with this question. So give us a response. So another question that was submitted to us. Okay, should academic programs be expanded, what would be the process for new classes to be offered in foreign languages, finances, shops, and industrial arts, for example?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty big and pretty broad, but very exciting, very exciting. Definitely, now that we, as I said before, now that we have the foundation done, and as Kent alluded, there's the opportunity now to re-look at our curriculum very, very seriously, very meticulously, especially since we had to eliminate some programs earlier on because of financial situations. And all of those areas may be areas that we need to look at. I wouldn't begin to try to limit that at this point, but I will say that knowing what our students are going to need upon graduation, depending on what their goals are, what jobs they would like to have, we need to have a curriculum that prepares them for that in all those avenues.
Thanks, Sharon. Joel?
I'd agree with Sharon. I mean, I'm not sure what the curriculum is since 1978 when I graduated. I remember we had an extensive shop class, and there was a lot of things I know kind of disappeared, and I think there's a lot of trades that are being overlooked, and I'd really like to see some of those strengths, whether they're here or not. That would be one thing I would definitely add. There's so many arts and trades that are just being overlooked that could be great careers for people, and I think it's a great need. I say we had a great school when I went, but hopefully that would be something I would add to.
Okay, thanks. Ken?
Well, I think I've touched on this a couple of times now. This is all part of, in my opinion, it's the plan that we're putting in place to have Megan Spangler take a look at this along with the rest of our administrative team in the district and see where we are in comparison to the districts around us, those that we're competing with for our own kids who live in the district, the parochial schools. I know that we only have one foreign language. I know that my son Garrett would wish we didn't have that one because that's not his strong suit. But I think we need to look at those things, and I know that I do believe, I don't know this for a fact, I do believe we're behind in some of the things that we offer, and I think it's critical that we look at those. But I don't want to sit here and promise we're going to do A, B, and C because I'm one member on the board. But I can tell you I am going to advocate to make us absolutely the best and expand the opportunities for our kids. I had tremendous opportunity when I was growing up, and I want my kids and your kids and all of the kids in this community to have the same or better opportunities than I had.
Thanks, Ken. Tiffany?
The question, would you repeat it one more time just to make sure I don't miss anything?
Absolutely. Should academic programs be expanded? What would be the process for new classes to be offered in foreign languages, finances, shop and industrial arts, for example?
Absolutely. Classes should be expanded. We've already started to implement this with the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math. When I toured the Carpenters Union a couple weeks ago for their open house, I was smiled to see that they've got STEM math, which actually can mix well with the math that we are going to be implementing here with our new STEM program. We all know, as we're sitting here in this room, we've heard that there is a problem that we don't have enough people in the trades. The trades are begging for people. I truly believe with everything in my heart that with us implementing STEM, that is going to help the trades right in this district. We right now are building so much in Northwest Ohio, it's incredible. We need to encourage that. That will also help the students if they want to continue on their career with college education as far as the technology side of things, which also encompass engineering. As far as shop goes, I think STEM's going to give us that piece into shop because there's robotics, there's all kinds of pieces that come along with the STEM program. As far as home ec goes, that one's a real tough one. There are some classes that encompass small pieces of home ec, but it's not like what home ec used to look like. And right now, as I sit here, I don't have a good answer for that one. I just don't. Foreign languages, absolutely, we need more foreign languages. We do know that other school districts around here have a much broader base. We as a board are working on that. Megan Spangler is working on that. We are auditing our entire curricula. We want to know what the students want, and what the students need in order to succeed. So thank you. Great question.
Okay. Thanks, Tiffany. Brenna.
Well, I think everyone has kind of touched on this, but I think it's important to remember that there are many different kinds of success, and that there's no one-size-fits-all education. There are a lot of different paths to success, and I think that we make the most progress when we focus on strengths rather than weaknesses. Kids should have the opportunities to explore their passions and their strengths, whether it's through academics or the arts, trades, and it's up to the district to provide those resources. I think that we want to produce successful adults in all kinds of ways and people who can contribute to their society. And I think that by offering more programs, we will create those kinds of adults.
Okay, thank you. Okay, question 4 we'll start with Joel. And this question was submitted to us, and it says, in regard to the legal state settlement between the school district and the city, how did the outcome benefit the community and the students?
What's this regarding, the schools?
This is the legal settlement between the school district and the city. There's a lawsuit that was been going.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not quite
if you'd like, well, you want me to? I can start off with Mr. Murphy,
Yeah.
and I'll kick it off with Mr. Murphy, and then you can follow in line there. How's that sound, Mr. Murphy?
Well, I don't know a way to really sugarcoat it, so I'll just put it out there. I know it's been talked about. I wasn't in favor of the lawsuit. I despise the fact that it happened. I believe our superintendent was acting in what he believed to be the best interests of our district. The key component of filing the lawsuit was stopping the possibility of a stop work order. We could have been thrown into complete devastation in terms of our facilities plan if we would have received a stop work order. So that was done with the intent of doing that, and that's ultimately what did occur. Is no stop work order was issued because the lawsuit was pending. Ultimately, in the end, I always tell everyone in litigation, usually it's just the lawyers that benefit. And to be honest with you, even though I am one, I don't like that. I think people should get to the table and try to work things out. And I think we could have done that better. And hopefully we won't find ourselves in that kind of a situation ever again. So did it ultimately benefit us? We kept the stop work order off the table. So, and we're now in this facility, which we wouldn't have been if we were issued a stop work. And we're now in the final stretch of finishing the downtown facility. So that was really the benefit to our district.
Okay.
I'm not, and again, by saying that, I don't mean to suggest that I was in favor of it. As soon as it happened, I was trying to find a resolution.
Okay. Thanks, Kent.
Well, what was the main intent of the lawsuit? I heard something about sidewalks that needed to be put through.
Sidewalks, a turn lane, yes. Sidewalks, a turn lane.
This is for the high school and the new
It was
elementary here?
for this
Okay.
location, yeah.
And then
Okay.
Rossford City wanted those put in before the school was finished?
A stop work order was threatened, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Tiffany. Would you like to respond?
Absolutely.
Answer that question.
The lawsuit should have never been filed in the first place. What I'm sitting here holding is the 2010, October 11th, traffic impact study of the master plan for Rossford schools. This plan was brought up by members of the then Master Plan Facilities Committee. They spoke about this at length of everything that needed to be done. It's talking about the gravel drive access road through the middle of here. It also talked about the fact that we needed an emergency egress out of here to Mandel Road. Improvements to the intersection, turn lanes needed to be added, so it's just more than sidewalks. It should have never been filed. I don't have a good answer as far as what we gained. The attorneys definitely made money off of us. That's unfortunate. It's taxpayer dollars that we wasted down the drain. I was never for this. There is no way So many people spoke at those meetings in 2015, in 2016, talking about all these things that needed to be done out here at this complex that were already approved by the Planning Commission, that Rossford had already agreed to. It should have never been filed. It should have never got to the point that it did. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany. Brenna.
You know, I think that throughout the lawsuit, the board and Dan Krebs, the superintendent, had the best interests of the students in mind. I think, you know, while the lawsuit was contentious, I think that, you know, we were able to have these difficult conversations and come up with a solution. And, you know, disagreements happen, mistakes happen, but we were able to work through it and move forward. I think that now we know much better if we ever encounter problems like this again. And I think that this is a part of being in a community and that we were able to move forward from it.
Okay, thanks, Brenna. Sharon?
Well, I don't often disagree with my friend over there, but I don't know that, in my opinion, that we had much choice. Let me first say that the study that Tiffany referred to was just that, a study. There was no determination or commitment or obligation to do anything about that study. There were ways in which it could have been implemented, but nothing was ever done, and so it was not really an option for us. I kind of wish I kind of think hindsight's always 20/20. I kind of wish if before it had all happened, that perhaps the board and city council and the mayor would have all sat down together and said, okay, what's going on here and what can we do? But that didn't happen. We were threatened 3 times with a stop work order, and in order to protect what the construction that was going on, our legal counsel advised us to file the suit in order to stop the work order. If the work order had gone in place, we would have lost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and lots of time, and perhaps we wouldn't be sitting in this building at this time. Eventually we would, but maybe not at this time. So what did we gain? We got to be in this building. We saved hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we're going to be in the high school in January.
Thanks, Sharon. Now, Joel, would you like to...
Yeah, if there was an agreement with the city and the schools to have these in place at the same time, I mean, it should happen. There should be nothing that's held off, and I think the city has been working with the schools hand in hand. Again, there's a lot of great things. A lot of times it's a matter of, if there are agreements, make sure there's no questions unasked, but there should be any problem with making sure every accommodation for the access are there. I mean, that's my belief. If they need to be there, they need to be there. There should be no question, and I don't believe any lawsuit. Again, that was a waste of tax dollars, and people that don't need to be making money that don't need to be making money. Let's just make it work, take the extra attorneys that don't need to be making money off the taxpayers, and get it done.
Okay. Thanks, Joel. Now we're going to take a quick intermission. We have some refreshments back there, some cookies and some water, and we'll have some information provided from the fire department over here and recreation levies. Josh is over there, and guys from recreation are here. It's 8:23 right now. Maybe let's try to get kicked off at like 8:35. Let's take about a 12-minute recess. It says 20 minutes, but we're a little bit long on the first half, so let's start off at 8:35, okay? And I'll collect questions from the audience too. So if you have your questions written, I'll take those questions.
It was late, quite late.
Yeah, you're doing good. You're fine. You are doing fine.
Should've just worn my Reeboks.
No, you're doing fine. Those heels look good. Hi. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming. I know. It's probably nerves, too. I don't mean it to be that way, but it is. It's nerve-wracking.
Any more questions from the audience at all? Anybody from the audience have questions? Okay, if we could get our candidates back up here and have everybody make it to their seats, please. Yeah, you get.
I'm a good listener.
Yeah, you're a good listener. If we could get our candidates, please, up here to their seats, please. Hey, Joel, thank you. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want. Some of the incumbents probably have a little bit better advantage because they've gone through. They're dealing with it. You kind of got. That's why I kind of.
I've heard some things that I don't like to.
Yeah.
You don't comment on things.
Right. That's why I thought. Well, I'd start off with Kent and get back to you and stuff. So yeah. Have a seat. We got some more questions here for you. So yeah.
Are these questions from the?
Yeah, we got a couple here. So. All right.
Right.
Let's finish the second half of our program here. Mike, are we ready?
Absolutely.
Mike Jameson? Okay. Mike told me at the intermission we had 47 people watching from home, so that's good to know. Say hi everybody at home. And
That's wonderful.
that's great. And then tomorrow he'll have it. We can have it on YouTube and all that other fun stuff too. So make sure you share it, and you can see yourselves on TV. Okay, so we did get a couple questions from the audience. First question is, and we will start with. Let's see. I'll start with Joel because I skipped him on the last question. So I'll start with Joel. What are your thoughts on the school policy of charging students for their facilities, such as Little League football, using the high school stadium?
You can actually charge them to use it?
Yes, they're charging. Yeah.
Well, I don't believe I was charged when I was for actually playing sports.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some families that can't afford it. I think there's planning for the schools that no child should be forced to not participate because he can't afford it.
Okay.
And I don't remember ever having to pay when I played football back in the day and stuff, so. No, we would need to afford, there's been enough money raised. I think it's gonna be more of an allocation to make sure the money is allocated properly. And if it's not getting there, it's a problem with allocation, and we need to look at that, make sure they are there for them, get the opportunities.
Okay, Ken?
So this issue was a pretty hot topic just before the football season started. I know it was brought to my attention by one of our coaches, Kevin Urrutia. What I would say is that we have implemented a system where if you are a true outsider to the district, you pay the normal rate for utilization of the facility. If you are a closely affiliated organization, such as our Little League Football, then we work with you to try to reduce that cost down. The purpose of the cost is to go toward maintenance of the facilities, whether it would be basketball when that gym is finished, whether it be the football field. We have tremendous facilities. We have to ensure that they're maintained. I am a huge proponent of giving our kids who are Bulldogs the biggest break we possibly can without compromising the need for maintenance and our custodial staff, which we have to have on site as well. So that's where those costs go. But it is at a significantly reduced rate. And I think if you asked the coaches that we worked with on that issue, that they would tell you that they're happy with the resolution.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Tiffany?
Absolutely not. If you are a rec committee member, if you are a rec team, if you are a Little League team from here in Rossford, you should not be paying for that field. You should not be paying for any of the fields. Here is why. By the year 2058, you all will have paid $203 million for 2 facilities and 1 renovated football stadium. There is no reason that we should be charging for those facilities to any of our teams here locally. Now, if it's the Toledo football team for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's a different story. That's someone outside our school district, someone outside our tax-paying base, then I could see it. But no one who is from our district should be paying a fee for those things. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Tiffany. Brenna?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about this issue, Kent. I appreciate you kind of giving the details. And, I mean, it sounds like a resolution was reached. And, I mean, really, in this case, I'm a little bit more curious and would like to know more about the situation. But we certainly don't want anything to be cost prohibitive to our students when, these are experiences that are really valuable for kids. Being in Little League is awesome. I was never qualified to do any sport of any kind, but I think that is, again, something that clearly needs to be examined and discussed.
Okay. Thanks, Brenna. Sharon?
Well, as often happens when wonderful things happen, things that you didn't anticipate also happen, and that's one of the things that has happened with our new facilities. I told Dan myself when I first explored the elementary here, he was going to have a problem, and that was going to be that our facilities are so wonderful, our gyms and so forth, that there are going to be teams in our community and outside our community are going to want to have league games here or are going to want to play. And now all of a sudden we have to start thinking about, well, okay, who can use our facilities and under what circumstances and what are our costs for doing that. And don't forget, we have liability as well. Someone using our facilities, we have liability about the safety and protection of those individuals. With our students, it's already taken care of. With outside programs and teams, that's another issue. But this is something, as far as I know, and Ken can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're still in the process of going through all of this and trying to figure out so that we are going to be as fair and as equitable as we should be for the children that live here, but who might belong to a facility, a team that's not directly affiliated with the school.
Thanks, Sharon.
Kevin?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
That's what I was trying to articulate, and I think Kevin probably did a better job than I did.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Let's move on to the next question. I believe, let's see, I think it's 5. I think we've gone through everybody, so I think we're back at Tiffany's spot here, I believe. So, what measures should the board take to ensure the new renovated facilities are properly maintained and the past practice of deferred maintenance is not repeated?
Well, we've already made those steps. There is a permanent improvement levy that you are currently paying on, which goes on forever. So once that's done paying, helping pay for the lease agreement, it's going to actually help pay for the maintenance of these facilities. We've also taken the steps to hire the proper people and put them in place. Someone who has actually maintained facilities, who knows how to manage facilities, and comes highly recommended with a lovely resume to match it. All of these facilities all need to be computer controlled. Every bit of these facilities are all maintained. So that person needs to know every piece of that software. And I am told that they do. So those are the first 2 steps that we've made in order to make that happen. The third thing is we as a board need to make sure that that's actually happening. We are making sure of that because every month we do get these reports. In these reports, it tells us exactly what is the preventative maintenance, what's being done, what needs to be done. And we're going to continue receiving those. As long as I'm sitting in this seat, since that was one of the issues I felt so strongly about, I'll make sure it happens. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany. Brenna.
Well, I think that is a priority for literally everybody because we have these gorgeous buildings and we want to take care of them. I think that, Tiffany has outlined the steps that the administration has taken to make sure that the buildings are well taken care of for now and in the future. And I think that it's about accountability and constant evaluation of what's working and what's not.
Okay, thank you. Sharon?
Well, I'm going to be a little bit redundant because in the process of construction, as we put in new heating, air conditioning, and so forth, and new machinery, whatever, the custodians and the individual in charge of the maintenance of our buildings are all given special education on how to utilize all of the equipment, how to repair when there are minor repairs that need to be made, how to, just for example, there's a brand new machine that the custodian here at the elementary uses to do these floors. It's no longer a mop and a bucket, it's a beautiful floor which appropriately washes and cleans and polishes the floor all at the same time so that it lasts as long as it's supposed to. So a lot of preliminary work has been done in educating and training and preparing so that we are on top of the care of our facilities on an ongoing basis.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Joel?
Yeah, I can relate to this, because I remember the old schools I went to that no longer exist, that I still had a lot of pride in. It almost seemed like there was a culture to let them get dilapidated. I can remember driving by the junior high building and seeing those concrete steps. So many times I wanted to buy a couple gallons of paint it myself. It was almost like there's a culture that they just didn't want to do it. Make sure that culture never exists again, whether it was some past board members, but it almost seemed like that was it. Do not let that exist. These are some beautiful buildings that are costing taxpayers a lot of money. Do not let them go down. So whether there was hit a motive to let the old buildings fall apart, but we can't let it happen in this building. But never let that culture exist again.
Thanks, Joel. Kent?
A couple things, and I'm glad we're touching on this. I did mention it in my opening. Over the past several years, we have had unstable leadership in the district. As we mentioned, our superintendent superintendent position has been a revolving door. So that part of what would typically be the responsibility of administration maybe didn't get the focus and attention that it needed and fell to folks by default. We have now tightened up our process regarding who's in control, who's making those decisions, and that is our superintendent. That has happened on this current board's watch. We have implemented a color-coded cleaning system that's being utilized here and will also be utilized at the high school. And the main thing, and one of my major objectives that I want to impress upon everyone, is that we have to have a maintenance program. One of the first questions I asked when I joined the facilities committee is I'd like to see our preventative maintenance program in our schedule. And some people looked at me like I had 3 heads. That can't happen. We have to have a program put in place. The taxpayers have trusted us with their tax dollars, and we have to be good stewards of those dollars, and one way that we do that is ensure that our maintenance is being done on a regular basis, and make sure that the people making the decisions about what's going to be fixed or cleaned or replaced, make sure that they're focused on that throughout the days.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Okay, I've got one last question before we go into our 1-minute closings. So this last question, I will start with Brenna. What personal experience or knowledge do you bring to the school board, or would you bring to the school board?
Well, like I said in my opening statement, I've worked with kids for about 15 years now, and I'm only 31, so that's half my life. But also, I've worked in a variety of settings. I've worked primarily in schools with at-risk kids. Like I said, I was on the youth advisory board and worked in the residential child care for Safe House Women's Shelter. I've pretty much seen it all. I've been a paraprofessional for Springfield schools, and I have a pretty unique understanding of what it means to provide support to kids. And I think that my experience and my perspective can help move the board and the district forward.
Okay, thank you. Sharon?
Now you're asking me to reveal my age.
I didn't ask that. I just asked your experience.
I'm a retired registered nurse that dealt with children a considerable amount of time. Most of my adult life I have spent volunteering and usually in programs benefiting children. In 2010, I got very seriously involved with this school district. Worked on the major committee that was trying to put something together to replace our schools. I served on 2 of those committees and, in fact, chaired one of them. And it was at that time when I was attending all of the board meetings, I decided that maybe what I could do to be even more helpful would be to run for the board. And that's what I did back in 2015. I guess I bring a wealth of experience as a manager in my career with a budget that had to manage a department. So I'm familiar with financial issues. I've been dealing with children for more years than I want to tell you. And I've been involved with this school district through the years that my sons were here in the Rossford schools, participating in extracurricular activities and in booster organizations, and right on through, as I said, in the dreaming and planning and working very hard to get us to where we are today.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. Joel?
Well, also as a critical care nurse, I've worked with a lot of young children, and they were troubled children. That was the unit they're on. I always tried to involve them. How can we make you excited about your life? How do you carry on? I'm also a father. My children mean everything to me. I want the best, brightest future that I can do for them. I'm putting one through grad school, and that's not an easy feat. As a small businessman, everything has to be taken account. You can't just be blindsided. You do one thing, there's 500 things you got to deal with. They all got to mesh. Like my thing earlier talking about the taxpayers, I think there's been a huge disconnect in that. We got to involve everybody's needs. But with all that, as a businessman and as a critical care health professional, love taking care of children. But I love, everybody's a child here. Everybody needs to be taken care of. We got a beautiful school district, beautiful town. This is my town of 58 years. I want to be able to stay here. And I want everybody to work as a team. How can we all make this better for everybody? And not ever, do not overlook anybody's needs.
Okay, thanks, Joel. Ken?
You ask about personal experience, and I can't, it's uncomfortable to talk about your own personal attributes, but what I would say is that I was raised by a basketball coach who was a leader of people, and he taught me some very important lessons, and the first and foremost is to be a good team member in everything that you do. Let's make no mistake, this is about being a member of a team and trying to get that team to pull it all in the same direction. And I think we're doing a great job of doing that. I also have to be a leader every day in my law firm, although Ms. Durko would probably tell you that she actually leads me around. She's part of our team. But, you know, we have to make decisions on a regular basis, being a partner in a law firm, that impacts people's lives. And those are serious, big decisions, and sometimes they're hard and they're not popular. But those are the things that I bring to the table. Those are the things I'm asking my kids to someday bring to the table when they're leaders in the community as well. So I believe I also bring an element of critical thinking. In law school, we're not really, people think we are taught the law. We're not. We're taught how to think and how to find solutions to problems. And so I will certainly bring that experience to bear as well in my service on the board.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Tiffany, why don't you close this out?
Thank you so much. Well, as I said in my opening statement, I've been attending school board meetings since 2004. And I learned so much sitting out there in the audience where you all are right now, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Being asked to be a member of the Finance Committee really let me open my eyes and lead as far as what do we need to do, where are our finances, where are they going, and where have they been. I've worked in finance. I continue to work in finance. I understand the debt side of things. I worked at Savage Mortgage for 10 years. I understand debt. I understand leverage. I've worked at Ayers Wealth Management for almost 10 years. I understand stocks, securities, how we make money. How do we plan? Here's the pile of money that you have. Here's how you make it last. Here's what you do with that pile of money that you have. I've always had part-time jobs. One of my part-time jobs that I currently still have since 1991 is I facilitate aerobics classes. I understand fitness. I understand how important it is for our kids to get up and move. I understand how important it is for our adults to get up and move. That's why I also work at the Rossford Recreation Center. That's very, very important. I bring that to the table. One of my jobs that I've done over the years has been medical transcription. I transcribe psychosocial assessments, psychological evaluations, and history and physicals. Some of you may roll your eyes at that, but you get to see and transcribe a lot of painful things that happen to kids in their lives. Trauma is the #1 cause for kids to be hooked on these opiates that they are into their adulthood. It's very difficult. My background is wide and it is diverse, and that's what I feel that I bring to this.
Okay, thanks, Tiffany. Okay, I'm going to announce the order that we're going to have the 1-minute closing remarks, and it's going to be the same order as I introduced everybody, and that was Sharon Belkoffer. Sorry, I mispronounced you earlier. I'm sorry about that. Tiffany Denzik, Kent Murphy, Brenna Reynolds, and Joel Haas. So Sharon, go ahead.
As I said before, I've been more closely involved with the school since 2010. And in getting involved, I listened to a lot of people talking, a lot of people asking questions. And oftentimes, Rossford District was compared to other districts in our area, bigger and smaller. And questions would be, why can't we do what they're doing? Or sometimes it would be used to point out flaws or things that weren't good for Rossford. There's a lot of, very few districts are alike. Most districts are unalike. There are so many things that make up a district in terms of its pupils and its community and its financial status, just to name a few. So comparing districts is not the best way to determine what's best for your district. But now we've reached a point where I'm not interested in comparing Rossford to other districts. I'm interested in other districts comparing to Rossford. That's where we're at, where other districts are looking at Rossford and saying, gee, why can't we be like Rossford? Why can't we do what Rossford's doing? How did they do that? That's where we are, and that's where I want us to stay.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Tiffany.
For my closing statement, I would like to say thank you so much for coming out. Promoting excellence and understanding our shortcomings helps everyone in the end. In order to improve, we must be honest with ourselves and the community. It is my belief that information is power, and I pledge to make certain information is free-flowing from this district. The more effective and efficient use of taxpayer dollars is what we need to be working towards. We have STEM classes now. We have a new ARC reading program. We're working on combating bullying with our positive behavior intervention support systems. And we will now have 2 resource officers as of January in both of our schools. And I think that is great for safety and the continuance of excellence. I ask for your vote November 5th. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tiffany. Kent.
I'd like to reiterate a thank you to Welsh Publishing, Rossford Schools, and Toledo Sports Network, but most importantly, all of you that are here tonight and those watching at home. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the son of educators, and one of the things that has stuck with me is the importance of education. That was impressed upon me as a young man, and I truly thank my parents for that. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm putting door hangers up and passing out T-shirts, and I want that job because I want to help. I think we have done tremendous things as a board, and we are on the cusp of greatness, and I only ask for your vote so we can continue with that momentum and be the great school district and community that we can be. We deserve that, you deserve that, and our kids deserve it.
Okay. Thanks, Kent. Brenna?
You know, operating as a board effectively requires a lot of humility and a lot of communication. And as adults and representatives in the community, it's our job to lead by example. Disagreements don't have to devolve into character attacks if we're clear about our intentions and generous in our judgments. Everyone here is passionate about our children and our community. And if we work together, we will produce the best ideas and programs. I have an eagerness to learn, an open mind. I believe in doing what is right over doing what is easy. And I think that some of the best ideas are born of the hardest conversations. I think we should focus on creating compassionate, empathetic, resilient, and brave adults who aren't afraid of innovation and hard work. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brenna.
Joel. I like breaking things down to just basic, simple things. I believe in a good teacher and a good book. I don't want to get caught up in, yeah, we got some beautiful buildings, but let's not make it all about the buildings. Let's not forget the basics. You know, my skills as a critical care nurse, a lot of critical thinking, but that is a profession that has worked hard on me, that no matter how tough the night was, if I had good teamwork, it went through. If I did not have teamwork, it wasn't going to make it. It was a living nightmare. So we must encourage teamwork, all the different aspects of the community, especially in the school board. Let's not forget the basics. Yeah, let's love these schools, let's maintain them, but let's get back to that good teacher, that good book, encourage that student to want to learn, and let's not forget the basics.
Okay, thanks, Joel. Thank you. I'd like to thank all the candidates for coming up here and taking the questions. And before we wrap up, I do want to have our Fire Chief, Josh Droward, come up here and speak about what he's got coming up in the November 5th election.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank Chet and Welch Publishing for allowing us to come tonight to just have some information available to anybody that want to talk about the upcoming levies. And I'd also like to thank the mayor and council that are here tonight for their kind words earlier as well. The Rossford Fire and Rescue Department is putting on 2 levies on November the 5th, and they are 1 mil for staffing, which essentially pays for your crew that's on duty during the daytime, and part of that also funds the on-call hours, which we're right now on a temporary 12 and 12, so we have 12-hour station staffing and 12-hour on-call, but that's what that 1 mil is going to go to provide. The 2.8 mils that are there are going to give us dollars to purchase capital equipment that we just can't afford out of the regular millage. And that's our fire apparatus, our SCBA, and turnout gear. Some of those items have recommended mandatory life cycles that we need to meet, and we just can't accomplish that at our current 1.6 mils levy that we're paying. This is the first time we've sought an increase in 37 years, so we've been receiving 1.6 mils on and off since June of 1984. So I guess I would say that we've been pretty good stewards of your money thus far, and I would ask you to certainly vote yes on November 5th for the 2 fire levies. And in my brief closing here, I'd like to thank the Levy Committee, which is Barrett Dorner and Michael Lord, who are here tonight to answer any questions and have been the behind-the-scenes folks. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, and then we'd like to have Toby come up from our wonderful Recreation Department. So, Toby?
Thanks for letting me come up. I was keeping the time, and I took my phone with me, so there's no real limits on how long I could be up here, probably. But no, my name's Toledo Desmond. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Rossford. We also have 2 levies coming up on November 5th. Both of them are 1 mils, which would cost about $35 per $100,000 house for each, so $70 total. The 2 different levies, one of them's for operations, and with that, that's operating our sports program, all the programming that we do, operating the recreation center and the fitness things, and a lot of the events that we help with. Our main goal with that is to keep momentum going. If you think about the last even 3 or 4 years about the different types of community events that have come in through the city, from the balloon festivals, Chautauquas, walleye tournaments, the growth of Riverfest, and even looking at this Sunday with a haunted house that's going to be put on with the drama. We've kind of been the backbone in helping out with a lot of those things. So we hope to build on that kind of stuff and keep that momentum going forward with this levy. The other levy is for capital improvements, maintaining our parks, maintaining our facilities, and kind of adding new parks and new facilities to the city for more people to utilize. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Toby. So wrapping up, we'd like to thank everyone for coming and participating tonight. The audience is certainly welcome to stay afterwards, talk to the candidates. I know candidates have literature on our back table back there. And I just want to say thanks again to the Rossford Schools, the Rossford Police Department, Toledo Sports Network.com, Mike Jameson back there, and I got somebody waving their hand here at me here.
I apologize. I tried to work this in tonight. We just got great news for the Bulldog Foundation. I wanted to get that out there tonight. We just inked a contract I did this morning with Chris Spielman, former Buckeye and Detroit Lion, who will be our featured speaker on May 28th. That's a tremendous event for our kids. So if you get a chance, please come out and support that. May 28th.
2020.
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome, cool.
We will be running things in the paper. So.
Awesome, that's great. Okay. So thanks everyone for coming out tonight, and thanks. Have a great night, okay? Thanks.
Let's get to meet you, Kurt. You too. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I probably saw you way back in the day. Were you ever at the La Hopes very much?
Good evening.